as font as you can. So can you
All right. Okay, guys. I guess we are here again for another African debates session. And sorry for starting late, and so that we can just start immediately. Just for those who don't know, African debates, we discuss issues related to Africa and religion and skepticism and things of that nature. And today we're talking about life after death. So like what we are all going to die, and we need to know like what's going to happen when we die. Like is one who holds on to materialism will tell us like what they think will happen when we die. There's a Christian who will also give us a Christian perspective on it. And then the two hopefully will also talk about how their views relate with the African traditional religious view. And so before we start, I just wanted to share something on the speaker on materialism. And so like he comes from a group called the Skeptics and Atheists Hangout. Skeptics and Atheist Society. And so like they have even an event coming up soon, and where they will be just discussing more about what the organization is about. So, and they're on Twitter. And apart from that, we have, sorry guys for that. We have the Christian speaker who is from Apologetics Kenya, and Apologetics Kenya has actually influenced a lot of what we do here. And so in particular, there's a conference coming up this November by Apologetics Kenya. So we would like everyone to be able to show up. And yeah, so that's all for now. And so I just want us to get straight in, and we'll start with the Christian speaker giving us a 15-minute opening statement on what their view is on life after death. So I will let Tim start by sharing his presentation and just starting off. So it will be a 10-minute opening statement. So Tim, you can start.
All right. I'm attempting to share my screen. I don't know if you guys can see me.
Yes, it's clear.
All right. So I don't know if is it still shared? Hello? Charles? Hello, Charles?
Just put it on
Hello?
slideshow mode. It's clear.
You can see it, yeah?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. As it has been presented, my name is Tim, and yeah, I'm doing the presentation for life after death. I'm giving a Christian perspective. I won't focus on it here that much, but I will just highlight it, though it's not part of the presentation. I'll just highlight it. I'll go through my presentation. There's a feedback. Hello. I'm getting some feedback. Hello. I'm assuming the feedback is gone, yeah? All right. Okay. Hope everyone can hear me. Okay, now here goes my opening statement. I want to start by defending the the defending the premise of that there's life after death. So, but I want to use I don't want to use the scripture to defend it. I want to use just reasoning to defend it. So so I will say that. So I'll just briefly go through some arguments for God's existence, just briefly, just so because the premise will actually have missed it. Firstly, that God exists, so that we can have a premise by which to go by for the existence of for the probability of life after death. So the first, the first three arguments that are very common about the existence of God are known. There's a cosmological argument, and which simply states that that everything that has a beginning has a cause, and the universe has a beginning. Therefore, the universe has a cause, and that cause can only be God. And then the other argument, which is called a teleological argument, which simply states that every design has a designer. The universe and life exhibit design, and therefore the universe and life have a designer. And the rest, the third one, which is the most common in arguing for God's existence, is the moral argument. And the moral argument simply states that every law has a lawgiver, because the moral argument appeals to the law that governs how we behave and how we do things. So it's a popular one. So it simply states that every law has a lawgiver, and there is a moral law. Therefore, there is a moral lawgiver, and that moral lawgiver is beyond us and can only be above us, and that person is God. And last and not least is the one that is not so common, but people use it. It's called the ontological argument, which states that simply states that God's existence, that God is a being than which none greater can be conceived. That is the number two. It is greater to exist in reality than just in the mind. Thus, God must exist in reality. Meaning, if God is a greatest being that can exist, then he has to be the greatest being that can ever exist. And if he's the greatest being that can ever exist, then in reality he must exist. Okay, though that is a weak argument, but still it's an argument for existence of God. So for me, I want to just go into the topic of our discussion, which is life after death. So if someone wants to rebuttal that, they can rebuttal however they want. So I'll just go through it very, very fast. So life after death, is there proof of it, and is there a plausible evidence of it? So I've forgotten to add this part. So the goal of my presentation is this. The goal of my presentation is to challenge the thought process of an atheist about the topic of life after death, and number two, to hope the others the others and the audience grasp the undeniable truth of life after death through reasoning. So mainly, I'm just appealing to reasoning. So my opening statement will just be discussing these two things: life after death. Is there proof of it? Is there plausible evidence? Number two, possibility, probability, practicability of life after death with rational reasoning. Can we appeal to rational reasoning without necessarily appealing to the to what the scripture says, or Christian scripture say, or what religion says? Because in this case, the others has no bearing of religion or rather, that's my assumption, that the others has totally no bearing of religion. So I will not use that as an appeal to him, because it's already dismissed. So life after death, is there proof of it? Is there plausible evidence? So some people are baffled by the persistently high numbers of people who believe in the afterlife. How could people who have never seen anyone, who never saw anyone come back from the dead, continue to uphold the idea of survival beyond the grave? Where did they get that crafty notion? This kind of thinking, just hold on just a bit. Yeah, this kind of thinking, oh sorry, oops, just a bit. Time is running. All right. Oh yeah, okay, here we are. Okay, so this kind of thinking has mostly been perpetrated by the West, The emergency of America and Europe new way of thinking is in denial of culture and religion, and to be specific, Christianity. This outlook has been adopted by many intelligent people in our social and our most influential institution. This ideology has been intensely pushed and taught in high schools, universities, exhibited in museums, evangelized to the world experts, embellished in the modern media like books and movies, which execute this idea of that there is no life after death because they're in support of science. So
5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes to the opening statement, to the end of your opening statement.
All right, so the materialistic worldview of the atheistic worldview will appeal to science and say when we disintegrate and nothing is left, simply nothing is left, that we are totally gone. So as for the soul, science says they have looked and have found nothing. But if science is a systematic study of structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and testing of theories against evidence obtained, then it will be appropriate to conclude that science can only make a conclusion based only on the technical capabilities of the instruments instruments and what the technology of the day allows. Simply meaning that conclusions that can be made by an atheist can only be made based on the technology that we have right now. It cannot be based on any other thing, and that technology is limited. So how can we deduct that we can make a case for life after death, even for through just science or through observation or through reasoning? So we can go to life after death. It makes no evolutionary sense. Evolution is a doctrine of survival of the fittest, the way to survive, to have an accurate picture of what is going on in the world, especially when it comes to finding food and avoiding predators. Meaning, by this logic, a creature that routinely develops false beliefs and acts on them is not likely to make it. Meaning, if we as human beings focus on life after death, most definitely we will die. But yet, we still do look into life after death as something within the human culture and within the human context. Okay, the other thing that can be used to prove the existence, or rather the possibility of life after death, is universality of life after death. Meaning, it's not exclusive to religion. Life after death has been considered by other people who are like philosophers, like Western philosophers like Plato. So others who insist that life after death is a religious concept may be surprised to discover that it is also a philosophical idea that was widely discussed in the 5th century BC. So it's not exclusively a religious thing. Now, the other thing is near-death experiences. There is no way for others to disapprove of near-death experiences. No scientific methodology has been used to refute them, and this by itself is very damaging conclusion to those who deny the afterlife. So others cannot come and say, oh yeah, because there are NDEs that people report near-death experiences. So how do they cater for that? The other thing is the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory supports a universe which has a beginning, therefore inferring a creator. If the Big Bang Theory infers a creator, it then admits the unknown can be known only through the evidence of what is experienced. And so, as such, the life after death can't be invalidated by it, but rather upheld by it. Using the Big Bang Theory, you can easily simply uphold that life after death must exist because the theory of Big Bang simply supports it. So, and the last one is the last one is undeniable teleology. So this is a case of where the chicken or the egg scenario, which came first. So the idea of a plan is called teleology. So I'm going to appeal to, there's a verse that is in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 53, which says, for this perishable body must put on imperishable, and this mortal body must put on immortality. So what do I mean by that? What I simply mean is this. Give me a moment. What I simply mean is this. Almost done. the idea of a plan is called teleology. We are speaking here of natural teleology, a plan that is built into nature. Historically, two groups of opposed natural teleology, creationist and atheist. Viewed naively from the outside, matter seems deceptively inert and stupid. Beneath the surface, however, there is an intelligent script. This script is written in the language of mathematics. Matter functions in a manner that is, matter functions in a manner, matter functions in a manner that is describable by physical and natural laws. No legislature passed these laws, and as far as we know, no material object ever breaks one of them. Somehow, the quarks and the electrons all play by the rules. So we say that all right, let me just finish this statement, that all things that happen on Earth seems that they come from a place that is immaterial. Now, and whatever is seen is evidently seen in the material world. So for me, that I'll say it's my opening statement. And thank you for the very few minutes. I thought it was 15 minutes. All right, thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry for the fewer minutes because of the starting a bit later. I felt like we will try and see how we will take those minutes elsewhere, maybe in the discussion section. So for guys who are joining us, this is African Debates. We're talking about life after death and what African traditional practitioners, Christians and atheists think about life after death. So we've had the Christian position. We are now going to hear an atheist give a materialist perspective of this. So whenever he starts speaking, I will start timing him for 10 minutes. So Eston, it's you to start. You can unmute. I hope you can unmute. Oh, you haven't unmuted. Oh yeah.
Yes,
I think you've unmuted.
My name is Eston.
Yeah, you can. When you start, I start timing.
Actually, I won't need a lot of time. Because I apologize. I didn't have a PowerPoint presentation, but the points that I have are, I trust that as strong as they get. Then, Mr. Tim,
I was also thinking.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry to have even paused your timer. If Tim can remove his presentation, so that because his presentation is still up.
Yes,
Tim,
Charles, what are you saying?
or if you can remove your. Oh yeah. So now that we are, and I guess we can maybe remove a video so that it's on. Yeah, Eston. Yeah, so we can focus on Eston. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, can continue.
Yeah. Eston, and I'm the secretary of the Skeptics and Atheists Society of Kenya. And I said I didn't have a PowerPoint presentation. My apologies to those who are expecting it, but nonetheless, we can still go on. So Mr. Tim has given his perspective, which I don't think they really hold water in this debate. A lot of assumptions. He has given a lot of assumptions, which can easily be refuted. But on my opening statement, scientists, they already say that there is no life after death. And neither is there any God, because there is no other intelligent life in the universe, because we are alone and on a journey where no one knows the destination, or no one knows the destination. But for now, we know the destination is 6 feet under. The first thing if someone tells me that there is life after death, I just ask them. Ask them, do you remember anything before you were born? Because human beings, we are constantly in this state that this universe, this universe or this world, it can't do without us. They're they have that mentality of this universe can't do without us. But the first question I ask is, where were you before you were born? Because it's like we human beings, we can't accept the reality that one day there'll be no traces of you ever again once your heart stops functioning. because once the heart stops functioning, you are completely, there is no hope of you coming back to life. So in my sense, those people who wrote these religious books, they have that mentality that no, there must be something after we die. There must be something outside now, in our outside life. So maybe if we die, maybe there's this spirit that is in our body that goes out now after we have died, which is not the case. It's not the case at all, because the first thing, if I ask you, do you remember anything before you were born? There's you don't. The only memory you have of yourself is maybe when you are from 4 to 5 years. Even when you are 1 year old, I don't think you can recall anything when you are 1 year, because your psychology was totally undeveloped. So the first thing is, where were you before you were born? If you insist that no, after I'm done with this earth, there must be another life that I must live somewhere else up there. And I don't know why they make it such a big deal, and they don't want to handle the truth. And maybe if you can just handle the truth, it becomes, even your life becomes more peaceful, and accepting that when I die, there's no other life after now. We are through. And then from now, a religious perspective, you say now when we die, there is an afterlife now after we die. But then my question is, if a Christian says that there is when we die, there is another afterlife after we die now. My question is, what about someone who has never been, like someone who is in China or who is in Japan? When they die, where do they go? Because in their whole life they've never worshipped the God. Because whatever they say about life and death is, they say it from the perspective of what the Bible claims, that there's a better place they call heaven. But now I've read the Bible, and it says no one goes to heaven except through Jesus Christ. So someone who is in China, who has been born a Buddhist, raised, and he died, that he has never in his whole life heard about Jesus, or even our ancestors who they lived before the missionaries or the colonialists. Yeah, even our ancestors, they never heard anyone about anything about Jesus. Then maybe they might have been believing that there's life after death, but somehow they might have believed that there is life after death, but when they die, maybe they go to another place, not the biblical heaven, another place. The same way the Muslims believe after they die, they go to heaven, but now this heaven, there is nothing like Jesus. It's Allah and his Prophet Muhammad. So this thing about religion, these perspectives are about from a religious perspective, but each religion claims you can't go to that place called heaven except through the who worshiping the God that religion worships. So that which makes me think that life after death, it's not viable it is impossible, and that's what science also says. Thank you. That's my opening statement.
All right. I guess you've done it in 7 minutes. So, so for those who are joining us, we are currently talking about life after death. And I'm hoping as we continue, we will also touch on the African traditional view, because that hasn't really been discussed by any of the presenters. But so like we're also discussing the Christian and materialist view. And so right now we want to get into cross-examination period. And so like what happens now is so we will start with Eston asking questions from the opening presentation of Tim. So he asks hopefully very quick, very short questions to Tim, and then Tim gives very short responses. And so you'll have 5 minutes, Eston, to ask your questions, and they get responded to in the 5 minutes. And then after the 5 minutes is over, now Tim will start asking the questions as you respond for another 5 minutes. So I will, when you start asking the questions is when I will put the timer. So just hopefully we can be able to ask the questions and give in the responses within that time. So whenever, Eston, you start asking the questions, I will start the timer for 5 minutes.
Okay, my questions actually in that presentation. Number one, Tim, do you remember anything before you were born? And don't say that you do, because no one can claim that. That is the first. So if you don't remember anything before you are born, don't you think when you die you return to the same state you were before that? Don't you think there is a possibility that once now you died, you go back to that same state you were before you were born? That's totally inexistent, nothing like spirit or what that will leave you, nothing like that. Because if maybe you remembered something, if we recalled anything before you were born, it might have been true that maybe when we are in our mothers, we are still like a fetus. Maybe our spirit goes into that fetus, then we get born like we like children. We grow up. Then maybe when an accident happens, or maybe we reach an old age, or maybe different ways that people die, then that spirit leaves that body, and that is the end of now your body, but not your spirit. But
so maybe Tim can try to respond.
Secondly,
he can just respond, or he can just respond now, or he can respond to each question. Because all the questions need to be responded within the 5 minutes.
Okay. Then let me let him respond.
So Tim, you can respond to that one quickly, and then he can give his next question. Just a very quick response. Tim, can you hear us? Oh, you are muted. Oh, Tim, you are muted. I don't know if Tim, you can hear us. You are muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
All right. So now, okay, I hope I understood the question correctly. I think I understood the first part. He asked if I can remember anything before I was born. And then I would say, of course, no, I cannot remember anything before I was born. But the question is, what does that do with afterlife? Because if you are trying to insinuate that before you are born, it's a matter of being dead, then those two things are totally not even contradictory. They don't even go together. So that premise is totally out of the door. So I don't know what's the second part of that question. I feel like there are two questions, so probably can.
Okay, Eston, you can ask the second. Eston can ask the second question now, and then you respond.
So the second. That answer, you've added a question to that question which I have asked, and I've said, according to science now, before you are born, there is nothing you remember before you are born, and that is the same state you'll go back to when you are dead, because it's this mentality by human beings that this world there must be somewhere up there where we will go. But let me go to my second question is,
and it's only 1 minute left for your questions.
Okay, you as a Christian, you as a Christian, yes, you believe in the Bible, yes or no? you believe what the Bible says, yes or no? Tim? Of course, you believe what the Bible says, and the Bible says no one goes to heaven except through Jesus Christ. So what about these other people who are not Christians, like Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, the non-religious? Where will they go once they are dead?
All right, Tim, you can respond. Oh, Tim, can you hear us? Oh, Tim, you're muted. You've muted yourself.
I'm saying I can hear you, but
I think you've like logged out from your audio. Can now only see your video. Oh yeah, now you're back.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, but I can't hear. I couldn't exactly hear what he was asking. I think he was asking about Muslims or something.
Yeah, like
Can you repeat
what
the question
happens
for
to
me,
them when
Charles?
they die?
My question was, you the first part of the question is, you are a Christian and you believe what the Bible says, yes or no? I presume that is a yes. But now
Just a second. I don't know if he's having some technical issues. Just a second. Sorry about that. Let's see if he'll be back. Just a second.
Okay, since he's gone, let me also just 1 minute. I go
Hello?
and get my charger.
Okay, can you ask the question again?
Oh yeah, so he's just asking what happens to people who are not Christians when they die. So you can respond to that as he gets his charger. What happens to other non-Christians?
Let him not respond first. Let me just go and take my charger. 1 minute, because the laptop, I didn't have my charger here. Let me just get it. 1 minute. I'll be back.
Okay.
Even 1 minute, just 10 seconds.
Okay, that is fine. And so even as we wait for a response from Tim, so after Tim responds, we will get to now Tim asking questions for 5 minutes. And then after Tim asks his questions and they are responded to, now they'll get into a discussion section for between 5 to 10 minutes that will not be interrupted by me. So now, Tim, you can respond to the question that Eston asked about what happens to people who are not Christians when they die. So that's the question to respond to. And then immediately after responding, you start asking your questions. So Tim, did you hear
All
us?
right. Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think Eston is assuming. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. So I think Eston is assuming that the point of this discussion is actually to defend the Christianity stand on Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life to the afterlife. But the first thing to consider is, as a Christian, what we believe is life beyond death, not life after death. It's life beyond death, because you're not assuming that you continue living after death. We actually believe in the bodily resurrection of a human being once they die. But this is the point. The point is, at the end of the day, what happens to Muslims and Hindus and all those people? Okay, simply, if I'm going to answer from a worldview of a Christian, I will say that for the Muslim and for the Hindu and anyone else who does not believe in Christ, of course, there are two ways by which we can affirm if they will be able to enter heaven or actually be able to acquire this life after death. And that is, one, they'll be judged according to their deeds and according to their moral code. So we cannot avoid the moral code. As I stated when I was presenting my case, that the moral code is a way of also affirming life after death, because it's something that is in us that we cannot conclude that has a source that is actually materialistic. So giving that kind of an answer would mean also that for anyone who does not believe, it means that, of course, that they are going also to be doomed. So there are two answers to that. First, one of belief, two of being judged by the moral code. So as a Christian, that's what I believe. But from a point of an atheist who does not believe, then he will have to cater for the source of his moral code, and then he will have to answer that question. Or if I have the moral code, then what's the point of it? Where does it come from? Who gave the moral code? Who is the moral code giver? Yeah,
so Tim, you can now start
answer.
asking your question.
Tim,
or Eston, or you will get to respond later.
Okay,
or Eston,
okay.
or you can now, Tim now will ask his questions. So Tim, you have actually 3 minutes left to ask questions and they get responded to. And then we will get into now a more open discussion.
Start by, yeah, I think
okay,
first of all is that I will first. Okay, so my first question is this: how does the atheist, him as an atheist, how does he convince himself of things that they don't know that they don't actually exist? How is it that you convince yourself? How do you do that? Does it not need faith for you to convince yourself that by saying that this thing does not exist, that it does actually exist?
Okay, but by that you mean the deity, the biblical deity?
Yeah.
Because I haven't understood your question. What you meant by?
I'm asking a very simple question. My very simple question is this.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
The question is rephrased. Let me rephrase the question. My question is very simple. Yeah. What evidence do you have to prove to me that life after death does not exist, except for the assumption that you have that God does not exist?
What I have, because there is no one who has ever died and resurrected and came to tell us that there is heaven, or even if someone can even just say that I died and I resurrected, but there is no single shred of evidence to prove that. Even let's say someone who has maybe died and he has gone wherever you Christians say it's heaven. There is no even a trace of that place where it is. If the scientists they have been written even this micro, so that they captured the whole universe, but there is no trace of that place. That's the first thing.
Tim, you have 1 more minute to ask your questions, and then we get into an open discussion.
Secondly, there's no shred of evidence first of all to convince us that there is life after death before we believe that it's there, because evidence is everything. There is no single shred of evidence to prove that there is life after death, because once someone dies, you go back to the same state you were before you were born. That's how it is.
Okay. All right, Sasa. So as an atheist, you are saying that absence of evidence is evidence of nothing, eh?
For now, if the evidence outweighs faith, that's what I mean. Evidence outweighs faith.
Okay, so guys, we've just run out of the cross-examination period, but we're just introducing this new thing now where there'll be an open discussion, but it won't be that long. I just want to give us 10 minutes. So but, I'm hoping that
Wandalo, maybe if you can just allow me to there's a question I asked Tim, but I wanted to respond.
So in the open discussion, you will try and see how you can get into all that. So even Tim, you can have your audio open. So this will be more of an open discussion for 10 minutes. Hopefully we can be able to answer questions and ask as many during that time. And I will not interrupt for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'll just cut you off. So let me allow Tim to start, and then you can interrupt one another. So Tim, I hope you are ready to start speaking for this open discussion period. When you start, I will start the timer for 10 minutes.
So I think there is an assumption that that others make, and I love what our friend is saying, because there's no evidence of things. Yet they will go and claim about scientific evidence of things that cannot be proven. So if someone talks about the Big Bang theory or talk about dark matter, there's no way of proving dark matter or even proving dark energy in the universe. Yet they are going to claim that is a scientific proof, and they're going to go by the theory of what? The theory of the dark matter, the theory of dark energy, the theory of evolution, all these theories are not based on particular evidence. And that's why, and so when he's asking for evidence, I think he's actually wrong in stating that you need evidence for everything. And anyway, at the end of the day, evidence does not prove that that thing that you're trying to disapprove does not exist. Why? Because what he's trying to ask for is materialistic evidence. He's not asking for the full scope of evidence. What an atheist will do in this case when he's trying to disapprove God or disapprove life after death is try and narrow reality. Try and narrow reality so that we can see reality according to his own word, according to his own perspective. So this very friend of ours here is trying to convince us that because there is no evidence of life after death, then we can also say there is no evidence of thought, there is no evidence of consciousness, there is no evidence of emotion, there is no evidence of the
Tim,
black matter
I
and all
think
that. So
I think you misunderstood. You misunderstood. You've said about evidence of emotions or what emotions can someone. Emotions is what it's a verb is a verb. It's not necessarily a verb, but emotions it's not a noun, but someone can show emotions by actions or those other things that you are starting to state. Or love can be shown by actions, not necessarily that you can see this is love, using your five senses. It's not only one sense that you use to give evidence. There are five senses that someone can use. So whatever you said, and then about you talked about evolution. Do you think evolution is about faith? Evolution is about evidence and facts, scientific evidence. It's not about faith like the biblical.
so I'm asking. I think the matter here is not me misunderstanding you. It's the matter that you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Can you prove to me that mind you have a brain? Yes.
Yes, I can prove it through X-ray.
That you have a brain. That you did the X-ray. You have a brain. Sindio. But the question is,
yes,
you do have thoughts in your mind. Yes.
Yeah, I have thoughts in my mind.
So now, can you show me the thoughts in your mind?
I can display it
and show
now.
me your mind.
Yes, okay. Whatever it is, if it's in my brain or in my mind, like I might be thinking of a certain girl. I'm thinking like right now, maybe I'm thinking of Kim Kardashian. Like if I tell you I'm thinking about Kim Kardashian, that picture in my mind, I can now do what I can Google her picture and show this picture of this, and I'm thinking of it in my mind. Or if I say I'm thinking about, what you are in your thoughts are things that you've seen in reality. What you call thoughts are things that maybe you've seen in reality, or things that you dream about. So or what you mean is, if I have those thoughts in my mind, I should be able to display for you to look at it, look in my mind and see those thoughts. Or what?
I'm asking. No, I think again you're misunderstanding me. I'm asking, can you empirically measure thought? Can you say a thought weighs 10 kgs? You cannot, Sindio.
You cannot measure thoughts. Yeah.
Exactly. And because you cannot measure thought, yet the evidence of thought is shown. The evidence of thought is shown by your action. Is it not?
Yeah. But now,
exactly, it's shown by your action.
I think the analogy here, I've understood you now. But now the analogy here, it doesn't. I don't think it's even related to life after death, because life after death is not something. Is not about. It's not about things that can be measured or not. It's things that you can just show me someone he died, and then maybe his whatever Christians believe that his spirit has left. You can't show any evidence
I
of
think
that.
you still misunderstand. If thought comes from
4 minutes left. Huh? 4
listen
minutes
to
left
me
in the
carefully.
discussion.
Listen to me. Yeah, okay, so listen to me carefully. The reason I'm asking
Yeah.
about thought is because the
Yes.
thought comes the thought comes from a realm that you cannot see. The thought is something that is intangible, something that is unmeasurable, and you
Yes,
cannot
yes.
prove the weight of thought empirically. Yes, you cannot measure and say the
Yeah,
thought is
you
this
can.
big, this small.
I agree
The
with
thought
that.
looks like this.
Agree.
You cannot, but you can see the evidence of it. You can see the evidence of it. So if you can allow yourself to say, yes, there are things that are beyond the human materialistic kind of perception, that there are things that go beyond that about materialism, you can say there are things that are
Yes.
beyond that. And if you can agree to that because of the experiences as a human being that you have through thinking, through having consciousness, and all those things, then it means what about death, it cannot be known until it is experienced by someone. So if you're on this side and you have experiences of things that seemingly seem that are beyond us in the realm of materialism, it means that in fact there is evidence of other kind of instances that are not that can show that there is life after death, just as a part of that unseen
Like
realm,
which instances?
or
Which
that realm that you
instances?
cannot touch, or that realm that you cannot measure.
Like which instances?
Okay, now
Which
let's
instances?
discuss. Let's say like as an atheist, you're going to admit, yes, you do agree that something like dark matter, Cindy, dark matter, or let's say dark energy.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to agree this dark
Yeah.
energy. Do you know that dark energy cannot be measured? Neither can it be shown evidently.
Yes.
Yes. So what you do as a scientist or as an atheist, you go by the proposals that are given by science. India. Yet science, through proposing dark matter, or even proposing something as simple as a Big Bang, is actually proposing something as ridiculous as life after death. Why do you want to appreciate what science is proposing, and yet
now
you want to ridicule what religion is promoting?
And you are now using there is a certain fallacy that you are using now, since science has given has proposed about the dark matter, and also it has proposed, if it has no evidence of that dark matter, so we should also not also believe them about life after there is no life after death, which the religious people also they have not given us any evidence of the life after death that they are insinuating.
1 minute left to the open
the same point.
1 minute left. Huh?
Yeah.
I think yes. So I think for us as Christians, is that you already have evidence that you've provided, and the evidence has been provided through the death and the resurrection of one man who is man and is God, who is the Lord Jesus Christ. And unfortunately for others will never examine the claims that are made by religious folks. They never examine the claims that are made by Christians. What they want to do is dismiss, because they want to hit the idea. They want to hit the idea that they can do whatever they want to do. So, and I think that's the reason why you see when you try to tell an atheist that you're trying to ridicule something that you also do at the same time. Because if you propose to us theories that we have to accept as Christians, what makes it so hard for you to accept what we're also proposing to you? So what makes you whatever you're saying superior than what we are saying? That's a question that you should ask. Are you better humans than we are? That's the question. Are you better humans than we are? Do you have any extra knowledge that we don't have?
Okay, this is not about being superior to Christians or not, but it's just about the reality and the evidence that we have. And first of all, there is something I wanted to respond to you, where you said that I don't know, people don't know who are now were born who like Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists, that they'll be judged by actions. I think you are also even assuming that because the Bible does not say anything about judging non-Christians through their morals. The Bible
So
says no one
time is up. We can conclude. Time is
no
up.
one goes to heaven except through Jesus Christ. That is the stand of the Bible. So I don't know why you are introducing now your own.
I think you've made a wrong assumption. You made a wrong assumption about the knowledge of the scriptures, and that's very wrong. You got to make assumption about what you know about scriptures. That is in the book of Romans. That whatever you're saying is not there is actually there in the book of Romans chapter 2. It talks about that people will be judged according to the moral code. To people who have not come across the word of God, like let's say specifically Christianity and the good news of Christianity.
That shows that
so
the
whatever
Bible
you're
is
trying,
even contradicting
whatever you're
itself.
trying to so whatever you're trying to accept is
contradicting itself.
Okay, so the open discussion is over now, and now we want to get into the only rebuttals we have for the whole debate. Yeah. And so we will start with the team. So team, you have 5 minutes uninterrupted to give a response to the discussion so far. 5 minutes just to give now a response to this, and hopefully you can also talk about African traditional religion, because we haven't even spoken about the African traditional religious view yet. So for 5 minutes, you can just give your rebuttal. Tim.
Okay, I would want to. Okay, thank you. I want to defend my position on life after death and my arguments, but it seems my friend does not understand my arguments at all, unfortunately, because whatever claims he's talking about are rather shallow. So I'll say this: if whatever I've shown is simply things that have no evidence that are approved and accepted by the scientific community and mostly approved by the atheists, and they say, yeah, these are something that we're accepting as a concept, but yet they will not concede to accept that whatever we propose as Christians, that there's life after death, is a possibility. Yet they want us to accept their possibilities of things that they propose to us theoretically. So for me, I think the most unfortunate thing in this case is that we can lose a lot of things when we have such discussions. But when you talk about ATR, that's African Traditional Religion, and how it does appeal to life after death, or the claim of life after death, I want to say this, that life after death is not exclusively a religious belief, but it's also one that is shared with Western philosophy, is what going back to Plato. So others who are insisting, like this guy, that life after death is a religious concept, may be surprised to discover that it's also a philosophical idea that has widely been discussed all the way from the 5th century BC. Most atheists are they spend their time investigating religion. They don't spend their time investigating religious beliefs or religious claims. And ATR, being an ATR, African Traditional Religion, also has those beliefs of life after death through ancestral worship. And up to this day, people do still believe strongly. They do still believe strongly about what? About ancestral worship. They still believe strongly about ancestral worship. So, and also people do believe even on things like unseen realm and dealing with the demonic realm and all that. So this thing that is very new to the human society, that which can call atheism, because it's a very new concept, and even in Africa it's a very new concept. Actually, people say there are no African atheists unless they're only pretenders. So at the end of the day, this is what I will say, that the concept of the afterlife is a universal phenomena. It's believed by all. It's believed by all, except for the few who do not accept it. And those few who do not accept it, they have no way of disapproving. They have no way of disapproving of life after death. They have no way of, so they have no way of disapproving of life after death. So it's up to my friend at the end of the day to try and convince us, or try and work hard and give us evidence of why there is no life after death, instead of making flimsy claims that life after death does not exist, just simply because either God does not exist, or either the Bible says, oh, no one will go to heaven if you don't believe in Jesus Christ. I think these are not convictions that can make anyone doubt actually there's life after death. There's no compelling evidence has provided us to show us that there's actually no life after death. His lack of knowledge of it actually proves more so that there is life after death. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for that one and only rebuttal from the Christian side. And now we will have 5 minutes from the atheist side. Whenever you start speaking, Eston, we will start timing.
So, Mr. Tim, the same way you are saying that there is no compelling evidence that there is no life after death, is the same way that there is no compelling evidence that there is also life after death. So you are talking from a point of you've already proven to us that there is life after death, and you've not even proven there is any life after death. The only thing you do is you believe that it is there, but there is no compelling evidence to that also. So why are you placing a burden on us when you've not even proved that on your side? Secondly, you said about the book of Romans. Let me first finish. You talk about the book of Romans. The book of Romans.
Tim, you can't respond.
In the book of Romans, you said that
You can't
you are judged by your judgment. I gave you time to speak. Why are you interrupting me when I'm speaking?
I think
in that book of Romans, where it says you'll be judged according to your deeds, it assumes that you already know Jesus Christ. So it was talking about those people who yes, they may be saying that they believe in Jesus, they go to church every Sunday, but now their deeds tell the complete opposite. It's not about those people. They did not talk about those people who have never heard of Jesus, like the Muslims or the Hindus. It was talking about those people who, yes, you said you believe in, yes, you believe in Jesus, you go to church every Sunday, but your deeds tell the complete opposite. So that is what the book of Romans was talking about. So you got it all wrong there. And as I said, the Bible through Jesus, his own two lips, when he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one goes to the Father except through me. So that's that belief that that belief alone shows that even if you are now, if you are born a Muslim, you'll be insinuating that there is life after death, but you'll be talking about the 72 virgins in heaven that you will go and be doing. Or if you are maybe if you are born a Buddhist, or if you are born a Hindu, you'll be talking about reincarnation. When you die, I don't know, you reincarnate into another animal. So these things are just your beliefs. In the reality, there is no life after death. That is what the reality says, because you are not even here. Like 100 years ago, there was nothing like Tim in this world. You just became Tim some few years ago. So that mentality of human beings, that you don't want to accept that one day there'll be no traces of you anywhere in this universe. Thank you, Wandalo.
Oh, you're done? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just a second. So now that we have finished the rebuttal section, hopefully, at least in the final presentation or in the Q&A, we'll find a way to maybe talk more about African traditional religion, because I guess we have maybe just mentioned it in passing. Yes, maybe because there's no one representing that position. But now we want to get into a Q&A, and there's only one question that came in through the YouTube live stream. So we will, I guess we will deal with that question, and then maybe I might have my own questions for the debaters. So we will probably do this for maybe the next 10 to 15 minutes. So there's a question that was asked, and I guess this is from, this is for Eston. So maybe Eston, you can see.
Yes.
So there's
What
someone who's
was
asking
the question?
So the question is saying, how is, so like, does the ignorance of something mean it is not there? So like someone is asking whether like the ignorance of whether there's a way to know there's life after death, or the ignorance of knowing whether there's a way, yeah, I guess the ignorance of a mechanism to detect it, whether that is an actual objection to life after death. And I guess, sorry, and I guess maybe they're just thinking of how, like, let's say someone who might be ignorant of quantum physics, maybe denying quantum vacuums or things like that because they don't know how to deal with it. I guess that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know if maybe, Eston, do you think like, is it a good objection to life after death, that ignorance?
So it's not about being ignorant. He's talking about something about quantum physics, but quantum physics, of course, it's
sorry. The quantum physics was not even in the question. I was just trying to elaborate,
okay.
like, where if, let's say, someone who wouldn't know how to understand quantum physics and then deny it, you know, so like,
Okay.
Would the ignorance of how to know about life after death make it an objection? Yeah.
Of course, for me, it's in one way or another, it makes it that way, because yes, you might say that if ignorance of something, I don't know, but here I'm not being ignorant. Here I'm just asking about the facts of it. You've not proven that there is a life after death. Why should I believe now? Why should I, or you just want me to believe? It's not based on evidence, but based on, they just believe that it's there. It's not about the evidence that's there. That like I can say, do you believe that the flying spaghetti monster exists, or the aliens? Do you believe the aliens exist? So if you say no because you've never, so a believer in the flying spaghetti monster can also ask you the same question, or a believer in Islam can also ask you the same question. That since you don't believe in who, in Muhammad, or you don't believe in maybe in Confucius or in Zeus, because there's no evidence to prove they exist. Can they also ask you the same question, that does ignorance of what means the absence of, don't even know how he faced it. So yes, maybe you can say I'm being ignorant because of absence of evidence. But other believers in other religions can also turn the tables on you, like the Hindus. Hindus can also turn the Hindus. They don't believe in the things about heaven or hell. They believe in reincarnation, which is totally different from the Islamic or the Christian view.
All right, thanks. I don't know if, Tim, you'd like to make just a short comment before I ask you a question.
All right, I'll make a short comment on that. I think whatever that person is asking is the same thing that I said. And I said evidence, lack of evidence does not now justify that that thing does not exist. I think that's one of the problems that this is going by, which is a very odd thing, seeing that he will try and appeal to some.
And I ask you, and I can also ask you the same question.
It's my point to answer. Just give me a moment to answer. Let me answer, then I can give you a moment to answer. So he's trying to appeal to that, and then the same he's trying to do that, and all the theories of either scientific theories that have been pushed forward. Let's say like something like string theory or the M theory. Let's talk about something like the dark matter or even the dark energy. These are things that cannot be proven even by science. They're just theories that are proposed. Yet they want us to accept these theories and say, yes, these theories are there, or there are things that exist. And then you're asking,
they make
can
more
we believe
sense.
in a spaghetti monster? So I'm asking this. It's a very weird thing, and I think these are the somersaults that they do in their mind. They want to justify their reason for us believe. They don't have a reason for us to believe in whatever stuff they are talking about, saying there is evidence, and realistically and truly there is no evidence, because there is no instrument or anything that can measure these things to prove that they exist. Yet they do not want to appreciate that the religious point of view is proposing something that actually has evidence. And even for Christianity, it's really absurd for someone to
There's
say
no evidence. Don't say that there is evidence. This because there is none.
Eston
Let
will
me
respond
finish.
now.
That there is no evidence. Yes, when he has not examined all the evidence that has been provided for Christianity, that all the evidence is there, historical evidence is there. He has not done his homework, and he wants to come and disapprove to us. So I can say, true, whoever has asked that question is asking actually the right thing, that our friend is actually appealing to his ignorance of the truth, of the evidence provided, to try and state something that is really a heart issue and not really an issue to do with the reality of things. Because if you could disapprove that Christ did not exist, God does not exist, hence life after death does not exist, then you could accept. And the same way, if you could accept that we can also refute theoretical scientific theories, then we can all say we are all having the level playing field. That we all have to look at the evidence that that is proposed to us to see, is whatever we are looking at something that can give us even a clue or an inkling that there is something that is beyond what is measurable by human instruments, and that human instruments have limitations, but this thing is evidently true. It's not measurable. It cannot be seen by sight, but evidently this thing is true. If you can be able to provide that confidently, then I can actually listen to him.
All right. So no more responses on this one, because in the Q&A section, we want to get into as many questions as possible. So no back and forth during Q&A. Just respond once, and then one person comments once, and then we go to the next question, so that we can get in as many questions as possible. So now a question for the Christian side. So now, Tim, how would you respond to someone who is saying that everyone they see who dies, they stay dead? So like they don't see anyone coming back from the dead. They don't see anything, and so like they are wondering, like, could it be that there's wishful thinking in the part of the African traditional religious person who believes there's ancestors being worshipped, or maybe that there's Jesus coming back for his saints? So how would you respond to someone who says that dead people stay dead? Why should I believe that there's life after death?
Okay, so for people who will present such a question, I think the first thing I will do is tell them to actually look at the evidence that has been provided by Christianity. That's the first thing I will say. The second thing I will say, if universally that life after death is acceptable, all those centuries and all those thousands of years that Africans have believed in life after death, like say ATRS, people have believed in life after death. What makes these people stick to that notion that there's life after death? What evidence do they have that there's life after death? And I will be ignorant to dismiss these people's experiences. If truly you are saying that all experiences are based on the three senses, that is touch, say the sense of touch, and so forth, do they have an insight of an extra sense? Is there extra perception that these people have of another thing that's beyond the extra five senses? And if thought proves that is already an extra sense, if consciousness proves that it's an extra sense, that you're dealing with things that are not within the realm of the tangible things, then I will say, can you investigate this phenomena that is in the world that is material, and then try to understand these immaterial things that are happening to us? What connection do they have to us? And number two, what kind of evidence are they providing to us? So there might be things that are beyond that are beyond the seen realm, or the realm of whatever tangible phenomena. So I think at the end of the day, I'll tell someone who is asking such a question, look at the evidence and look at it critically. Do not narrow your reality. Do not narrow your reality, basing it on thought, or basing it on pre-assumptions, or basing it on conditioning that has been brought forth either by science or such things. As I have stated in my argument before, I said people, the atheist and the scientific community and such try to narrow reality down. They try to give a really narrowed scope of reality. But as we have seen, the human experience cannot be narrowed down to materialistic kind of experiences, because every individual has experiences that are beyond the materialistic world. So that is evidence that there is more than we know, and there is more to acknowledge, more than what the atheist is trying to claim, or is trying to stick by, or trying to uphold by lying to us that we can only go by what we see and what we can smell and what we can taste.
All right, thanks for that response. Eston, if you have just a quick comment on that, and then I get to your question. Oh, you are muted. Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't think I have a comment on that.
Okay, that's fine. I guess I will get to your other question. Huh? So your question is what do you think about near-death experiences? Is there any materialist explanation on why they are there?
Near-death experiences. So someone who talked about, yes, the near-death experiences, it's just out of fear and hallucinations, because someone who maybe he's seeing death by he's saying he almost, but in his mind his mind was already somewhere else, because his mind has been conditioned that when he dies there'll be, I don't know, he'll be going to somewhere where, I don't know, he'll meet Moses. It's the conditioning of the mind that makes them go through those hallucinations when they go through those near-death experiences, which is just normal. I can understand them, and it's not all just a few people who have gone through these near-death experiences who claim that, I don't know, I switched off and I don't know, I saw this and that.
All right. Thanks for that response. I don't know if Tim, you'd like to comment, or we get to your question.
Okay, let me talk quickly about near-death experiences. I love the ignorance of our dear atheists here, because most of the research that has been done for NDEs of near-death experiences has been done by atheists themselves. It has been done by the scientific community itself, and that's the most brilliant thing that comes into the argument about near-death experiences. And the reason why these people are documenting these things is because they're wondering, people are experiencing near-death experiences all over the world, and they're reporting similar experiences. One, either they saw a big bright light, or they experienced some other kind of a being in the other side, or they had a loving kind of warmth around them, or such things. Yeah, and these people are from different cultures. So it's not a conditioning. Number one, it's not a conditioning. It's claiming conditioning, which is a blatant lie, a very bad lie, because these people are from different cultures, different conditioning, if you want to appeal to conditioning. So they're reporting the same kind of a thing, the same kind of an experience when they had that near-death experience. So how do you actually cater for that? How do you actually defend that or refute it? Unfortunately, there's no way of refuting the near-death experiences for scientists. There's no way of refuting, there's no scientific way of measuring these experiences. Even for people who have been put under the machine, I forget the scanner. It's called the what? I'm forgetting the name of that scanner. That one that they do the brain scans and all that. So when they even bring those ones, when someone is experiencing a near-death experience, the pattern that is shown on the brain activity is the same across for all those people when they come near-death experiences. And even when they give when they document the near-death experiences for people, they have the same brain patterns. And this guy is saying that these people are hallucinating. And one of the researches that has been documented about people experiencing the near-death experiences is this: that none of them has taken a hallucinogenic kind of a drug. None of them is a drug addict. None of them has ever been a drug addict. None of them is having a headache, and probably none of them is even sick. It's only that they almost experienced death. And this research has been documented by several atheists, scientists, and philosophers. So our dear atheist here is just using some, I don't know what methodology he's using to give us his answers, but he's just blatantly lying. As I said, others barely do any research on the things they claim. So it's good if he will try and find knowledge on the things he'll want to discuss and to prepare for such discussions earlier. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it seems the conversation
made in that
getting...
statement, but okay.
But maybe you can just comment on the final statement, because we're actually getting into final statements because of time. Huh? So the Q&A time is up. And believe it or not, you actually have only 1 minute to make your final statement, because we've discussed a lot. So I guess we will start with we'll actually start with Tim to give his final statement. And it's only 1 minute, because we've already discussed a lot. So now we just have 1 minute to talk about what do you want people to take home about life after death in Christianity, African traditional religion, and materialism. So whenever you start, 1 minute. So just know it's only 1 minute. You're muted. Wait, you're muted. Just unmute, and then I'll start the timer.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Charles, for that. You have really constrained our time, but I'll say this, yeah. My point was to just try and convince that whatever arguments, number one, that analysts will make about the whole issue of life after death has no bearing at all. And simply I've proven that the others cannot prove that there's no life after death at all. And he will claim the same thing about me, but I'll say that's just a claim he is making, because what I've presented has actually shown beyond any doubt that it's possible to actually consider the evidence that is provided to you to actually say there is life after death. Because even I've not even used any scripture or religious method to prove that there's life after death. What I've actually done is try to appeal to science, though I didn't have time to go through my points properly. But all the points I was trying to use were to show that science itself does actually, this modern science, the science of the day, actually does point to us approving that there's actually life after death. Because there's so much evidence showing that there are so many things that
1 minute is up, huh?
Yes, science cannot measure, but yet science also disapprove, so that since it cannot measure life after death or see the evidence of it, that we should not accept it. But as Christians, we know there is life after death because there is evidence of the resurrection of Christ.
All right. Thanks, Tim, for that. And Eston, you have 1 minute to give your position on the same, on life after death with regards to Christianity, materialism, and African traditional religion. 1 minute.
I don't think science has proved that there is anything, there's any evidence about life after death. So Tim, I don't know where he gets that assumptions from. Secondly, I've stated it even in my opening statement that you don't know where you are before you are born, and that's where you will go back to when you finally die. And about the things to do with near-death experiences, I repeat, it's just that conditioning that the people that they have been there, even since they were children, they have just been told when you die, there is a better place you will go to called heaven. So it's just that conditioning of their brain. And also, I don't even understand why Christians, when they go ecstatic after they maybe survive an accident or they survive.
Time
is a better place up there called heaven. Why do you celebrate surviving death when you have been in a better place anyway?
Yeah, so time is up. All right. So guys, thanks for joining us for this session. And just before we close, I just want to remind us that we were hearing from Eston, who is from the Skeptics and Atheists Society, and so like this is their society, and they have events around Nairobi.
Tomorrow we are having an event. Maybe just tomorrow we are having an event where we do a video shoot for our YouTube channel. It will be at Mirema Drive. It's just around somewhere around Roysambu. You can just look it from your Google Maps. At Mirema Drive, we'll be having these topics about the Israel-Palestine conflict that is going on, which is, I think it's about religion. And also we're discussing about, is Islam a religion of peace, and how should atheists handle the religious holidays? And so much. We'll also discuss so much more when because it's basically a hangout of the skeptics and the atheists, and also the agnostics are also welcome.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then just a second. Oh, not coming up. Wait. Yeah. Okay. And then I guess, Tim, I don't know if you're still there, if you could just say a few things about the conference coming up, Apologetics Kenya, just quick commentary on the conference, and then before we close.
All right, you're going to have a conference on 21st to 25th of November. It's about identity. It will have many good speakers and notable speakers from all over the world who will do the conference, or rather who will be participating in the conference. Everyone is welcome. It will be both online and offline. So for the online session, we're going to meet on the last day of the conference. That will be on the 25th of November. On the 21st, from 21st to the 24th, we're going to be having online conference. It's going to be online. It's going to be open for everyone to participate with questions, with interaction and such. So we are hoping that as many as possible can join. The others are also welcome, and also the skeptics and the agnostics and all types and all kinds of peoples are welcome, and all people from all whatevers of life and all races are welcome to participate in the conference. My request is that you tell your friends and share the poster with as many as possible, and we are praying that by God's mercy that it will be a worthwhile venture for all of us. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. And I think with that, we are finished for today. I think in 2 weeks' time, we'll have another discussion on Kemet and Christianity. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. And you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. And yeah, and I guess we will meet again. So let me stop the share. And I guess we can log out, and then I end the stream.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So we can.